once it's complete. All right. I always take it back to why we're doing office hours. So our why for offering these is to make sure that we have people around the region who are able to share information. We know that we're doing a lot of new things here during distance learning, hybrid learning, and all things related to COVID. So we want to make sure that we're sharing information because we know there's a lot of great things going on around the region. Whenever we think about assistive technology, we think about the SET framework, and that's looking at the student, the environments, the tasks, and then overlaying the tools to see which tools would support which students to do those tasks in those environments. We always look with a lens of equity when we're looking at these things, and that is just making sure that every individual student gets exactly what it is that they need. Today's agenda, we'll have some sharing by our guest, then we'll make sure that we have time for questions and answers, and we'll do a quick wrap up. Today's guest is Cassie Letourneau, and I know you're all very excited and ready to hear from her about her content, so I'll turn it over to you, Cassie.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Cassie Letourneau. Hi. Thank you, Julie, for that introduction and for hosting office hours for us. And then today's topic will be distance learning in a Setting 3 special education classroom. So that is what we are discussing. Thanks, Julie. So I put in here my contact information. If anyone needs to get a hold of me or they have questions or they need ideas or anything, feel free to you can always email me or call. I'm at school 4 days a week and working from home on Fridays. So there's that. I've been a special education teacher since 2011. I had a career change. I went back to school, got my master's degree in special education. And my 5-year plan currently is to convince ISD 709 to start a transition program for students with severe disabilities. We don't have one. We need one desperately. Working in the high school, I often get students staying with me for a very long time. So that's something I really want to make happen. And then, thanks, Julie. This is just a demographic of the students in my class currently. It changes a little bit year to year, but there are quite a few students that use wheelchairs all the time for mobility this year. And the majority of my students are nonverbal. Thanks, Julie. So my classroom, when I think about my classroom and what it's all grounded in my routine, my daily routine with my students is what is held most sacred and most high. It's highly structured. It's a very routine-based instruction and activities, and the students can count on what's going to happen every day, class period after class period. They just know what's going to come next. And I really do. I hold that in such high regard for my kids. It makes it easier for them. And then they can focus on the learning that they have to do. Yep. So I work in a high school, obviously, and the things that we focus on are the 5 areas of post-secondary transition. I know the focus in elementary school Setting 3 classrooms is very, very different, but I just wanted to give you a background in what we do here in my room. And so the things that we focus on are these 5 areas of transition. Every single activity, every single task we do is all geared to teaching those post-secondary transition skills. Yep. And then, so when Julie asked me if anyone was willing to present, and I volunteered, and this is sort of what my breakdown of what I think about distance learning and during a pandemic, and what things that I have used and the things that come to mind when I say, how do I summarize distance learning for my students and myself? And this is the list I came up with. I'll give you a second. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. I just want to be able to utilize your time and then be able to have a question time if you have questions. So this is the technology that we are currently using with my students. And the thing about that, when I thought about this, is that a functional routine-based instruction and curriculum doesn't really translate to online virtual learning. It just doesn't. It's something that I've struggled with. It's something that my students are struggling with currently. And we just know, we all know that the way our students learn the best is in person and in school. So it has been, a challenge. Yep. So the online learning management system that we are using is Seesaw. And I'll go over this, but I have a weekly planner page for my students, and then a daily page that connects each activity. When I think about Seesaw, I currently have 2 out of my 8 students that currently access and complete the activities on Seesaw. It's not a great ratio, but that's what's happening. Yep. So this is what a breakdown of my Seesaw. When realizing this, and as we've moved along in distance learning, I realized that 3 to 5 activities per day is probably too much for my students, and I pared it down to 2 or 3 activities a day. I do work in some units, but the instruction that I provide over Google Meets ties into the activities that I have on Seesaw. So that's sort of how I work those 2 together. Thanks, Julie. So this is I wanted to show you the screenshot of my weekly planner page for my Seesaw. My coworker created this. She did it for all of us, and then we just took it and did what we wanted. This is about the 5th or 6th version of my weekly planner page. It took me a lot of tweaking, adjusting, feedback from families about what would be the best for them. And so this is what we came up with. And then this is my daily page that I have for each student. When you look at the slideshow, you can kind of zoom in, but I have on there the areas of post-secondary transition. Our DAPE teacher has a separate Seesaw class that she does. And so that's where the recreation and leisure and the DAPE services come in when the kids are accessing that class. I have the links to each activity on there. And I think what has taken me the most amount of time is that even though there's a huge library of Seesaw activities, they're not exactly geared to high school students or students with severe disabilities. And so having to look at those activities, tweak the instruction so it is appropriate for our students, maybe creating our own activities, really looking at the material. Is it relevant? Is it necessary? And then editing that. And it does take quite a bit of time. It probably takes me 2 or 3 work days to get a whole week's worth of Seesaw done. So I don't know if your experience is the same thing, but that's where I am right now. Yep. So this is my Friday page, just an example, and that has no academic or functional academic work on it. It's all just fun activities, break time, dance break, things like that. So those are the things that my kids like to do. Yep. Okay, so the majority of our direct instruction and direct services comes from our Google Meets. We meet individually. I meet with the students one-on-one. And then I also meet 1 time a day with them as a group. It's the group is it's fun. It's wonderful to see them, but my students can't access any of the technology independently. They can't access their student email, their Infinite Campus accounts. They can't log into a Google Meet by themselves. And so I really do rely on parents and families to get them to those Google Meets and sit with them to assist them with the activities. I couldn't do this without the parents. And then the individual meets are with me and with the paraprofessionals. So we set all those up through Google Calendar, doing the invitations with the Google Meet links. It's not great, but it's what we, just to make it a little bit easier for families. Mm-hmm. So this is a shelf that I have right by my desk. It's everything that I need for my Google Meet. I'll get it ready each morning and then clean it up each day. And so it's just really close for me to have access to. I can just grab whatever I need. And I don't know, I found it helpful to me, so I just wanted to show you that. And these are some visual cues that we are using, students that are verbal, and then looking at the screen and letting me see your eyes. It's important sometimes for our kids to just get those verbal reminders. I also sent those home with our students. So I have them here on camera, and then they also have them at their house. So this is a link in the slideshow about just websites that I have been using during distance learning. And I also use these websites to create seesaw activities, and then I use them during Google Meets, and then I also have used them to develop materials for the take-home bins. And so we'll talk about those in a bit, or maybe in the next one, I can't remember. So I just have amazing related service providers. I can't say enough good things about them. And I really do feel very fortunate to be working with these amazing people. And so the ones that provide direct services, they are hopping on Google Meets with me, with the kids. It's a really great way to connect with them. And then our DAPE teacher is also using Seesaw. And I just connect them with the invitation, with the Google invitation that I sent through Google Calendar. For providers that are providing indirect services, they are doing check-in and consultation with me, and then I know a bunch of them are sending home emails weekly, every other week to families and just saying, what do you need? Are you doing okay? Things like that. And so we haven't, that's what we've done in my room. I know other districts are probably doing different things, but this is what we are doing. And the related, the paraprofessionals, we've been lucky in that they get to come back to the room with us. A lot of them are working childcare, and so now that they've kind of worked out the schedule and the elementary schools are in distance learning, so they're able to come back to East and get on the Google Meets with our kids. So I do have a lot of them set up for one-on-one a couple times a week with each student. The other thing they've been helping me do is prepare the materials to go home, which has been a huge help because it was a lot doing the seesaw and the take-home bins and the Google Meets and everything. It was a lot. So I was so thankful to have their help. Once I get I feel like I'm more on top of things, it would be great if we could work ahead and as with the paraprofessionals, but I'm not sure if maybe we'll never get there. Who knows? So these are the take-home bins that I mentioned earlier. When they come back to school or when they go home, I sort of tell families, feel free to let them sit for 2 or 3 days if you're worried about germs. When they come back to the building, we let them sit, and then we take everything out, sanitize it all, and then repack it for the next week. What I found worked the best was having 1 day a week for bin swapping with families and just saying, hey, here's a reminder. Tomorrow is bin swapping day. Let me know if you want me, if you're coming to East, or if you want me to drop it off at your house. So each student got 2 bins, and then we would just always have an empty one here at school so we could reload things. It was, for me, the most effective way to get materials to my students and to get them things in their hands that they could use over the Google Meets with me. My coworker sends really wonderful things home to her kids. She sends snacks along with their academic work. She sends fun puzzles and things like that. And so it's pretty much, you can customize it to whatever you want to do. But that's yeah. And then we'll go to the next one, Julie. Thanks. And so in every bin, I had these things. These were my staples. Every student got these things. And then the student picture flashcards were, because my students are nonverbal, I had pictures made and just laminated them of each student. And so then when we're talking about other kids, they kind of hold up a picture of this, their classmate, things like that. And so that's what we did. We play a lot of group games. And so having to make multiple copies of group games and sending them home. So each student had access to the game so we could play it together over Google Meet. So that's what that was. So the other part of this is that in the bins also sending home assistive communication devices for students that needed them. So switches would go step-by-steps, all of the things that they need at home to communicate, and then we use them during the Google Meet. So that was really helpful too. So it's something familiar, it's something that they're used to having, and then they can use it during school time. These are the other things that we just sort of put in there, and it depended on the kid and things like that, but that's what we're also doing. One thing that we really want to do as a group at East is get our mini work boxes going, and I did that for each kid. I kind of took the work boxes we had and then made them miniature size in a Ziploc bag, and so they were able to have those at home, and they're familiar with those. They work with them all the time at school, and so it was something that they knew from school. Okay. Thanks, Julie. So this is just a picture of one kid's work bin that I wanted to show you. So coloring sheets, the visual recipe is in there. Sorry, I'm gonna ignore. And then I sent every kid a deck of Go Fish cards. Those Go Fish cards that we have are. Sorry. They're perfect for my students because they don't have numbers, they have colors. And so it's really great for our kids. Our speech pathologist, she made a ton of visuals for the kids to use. So then when we're playing the game, they have a visual to use and like a PEX thing that they can use during the game. These are actually at Menards right now for very cheap because it's Christmas time. So if you want to go get these for your kids, you can. They're in the toy section. But every kid got a deck of these too. And then you can see over on the right side, those are the mini work boxes that we put together. This is a game that is really great for nonverbal students. Zingo. Maybe if you have other kids in your room they have different versions of this, of sight words and things like that, but this one is just simple vocabulary. So I found that to be really helpful for something for us to do as a group. So like I said, the parent involvement has just been so extensive. I am so thankful to my parents, but they are instrumental in me having access to their students. And so these are just sort of the things that I'm asking them to do on a daily basis and what they're willing to help with. Talking to one of my coworkers, she was mentioning that, the school she was at last year during distance learning, she talked to maybe 2 of her students, and it's totally a different ballgame when you don't have families that have the resources to be involved. They're working during the day. I can't even imagine. And so, I really do understand and know, and I'm very aware of how lucky that I am to have families that are involved and home during the day. And it does make a huge difference. One person or a couple of people had asked about data collection. And so I just stuck a screenshot on here. This is my service minutes log for distance learning this year. I put everything on here, communication and service minutes for direct time with kids. One thing that I have not been tracking is indirect time, but this is just direct time with students and communication. So it all goes into one spreadsheet by the end of the quarter. I'm only able to collect anecdotal behavior data. I have not, we at East we've sort of said that as a group that we just haven't found a way to collect quantifiable behavior data. And I think, it makes me wonder if other schools are in the same boat. And I think that is it, Julie. Yeah. So if you have any questions. Oh, I'm muted. Sorry, I'm muted. I do have lots of questions that people had asked, but if you have any questions, yeah, go ahead.
I know you did such a nice job, Cassie, of answering a lot of the questions that came up in the registration form and talking about how you were using paraprofessionals and engaging students. But yeah, if you guys have questions, go ahead and you can raise your hand, pick up the microphone, or type them in the chat window. Laura, I see your hand up. Go ahead. I can see you're trying to figure out how to unmute. If you hover over the bottom, a toolbar should pop up that would have the microphone button. Otherwise, if you're on a Chromebook, a Command or Control D should unmute you, or Command D if you're on a Mac on the keyboard. That should work too. And if none of those options work, you can always type in the chat window too. All right, Laura asked us to come back to her, so we definitely will. Any other questions that people have? I saw that Jacinda typed in the chat window, I loved your science experiment yesterday. Oh, it says from Terry Ross, that was.
Cassie, will you talk about your science experiment? And I don't know if you do others, but I just thought that was fantastic. Just like it was so at the students' level, but you used some really nice science terminology just to introduce that vocabulary.
Sure. So we've been working on matter, states of matter, solids, liquids, and gases. And then last week we did what happens when you apply heat and to solids, liquids, and gases. And so this week we're focusing on what happens when you apply cold. And so what I did is I had just two paper towels, and I put one in water, and I said, talking about what is the paper towel? Is it a solid? And then what happens, it's cold enough out today where you can put these two paper towels outside and see what happens, to them after you get one wet and keep one dry. I don't know if any of them did that. I didn't ask for any feedback. I didn't ask for, a seesaw, anything. It was just a very quick, this is something you can do at your house. Yeah.
Great, thanks for sharing that. That's a great example. I see Alicia's hand is up now.
Hey, I was just wondering, what are you using as like a motivational tool? Do you use like Dojo or a chart or just verbal reminders, brain and body in the group? Just wondering, what are you using with your kiddos?
That's it. Gosh. Alicia, I'm sorry, I'm totally drawing a blank. Sometimes I'll just, because the kids, they all, they're not getting that immediate feedback of being in the classroom, and it's so hard for them to translate, I'm on video, here's my other classmates, they're also seeing and hearing me. The connection right now is very one way between me and the students, even if there is just a bunch of us on. So sometimes I'll just say, hey, let's wait and listen for the answer. To a student to remind, because they always talk over each other. As far as motivational, I don't know. I have so many enthusiastic learners right now, so I do feel very lucky. I do have one student who does struggle to remain engaged. And I think for me, talking with her parent, the Google Meet just it's not very effective. And so just finding things that she can do at home. And they can send pictures and videos to me of her doing those things. We've completely taken away Seesaw because that's not motivating for her. I've just stopped assigning her things. Yep. I don't know, Alicia, it's not a great answer. I'm sorry.
No, can I share what I've been doing?
Yes, please.
Okay, I was just wondering if you had anything different. So it's a simple 5, a row of 5 earning smiley faces. And we keep flipping back to that. It's super motivational for my kiddos, even though they're still in middle school. And then at the end, we'll pick a kiddo, you know, one that has earned their five smileys, and they get to choose like a YouTube song or something, you know, for a little dance party for 2 minutes at the end of our, we do Zoom. So at the end of our Zoom meeting, and that's been super, super, super motivating for them. So
That's a really great
I
idea.
just thought I'd share that.
Thanks, Elise. That's a really great idea. Yep. Do you have the row of 5 with you, or do the kids have it at home?
We have it, and
Yeah.
we show them, you know, on the screen that they're earning their, you know, so they get that immediate feedback.
Yep.
So, you know, it's just a document that we made, you know, with each of the kids on there, and, you know, click and drag the little smiley faces they're earning it.
Awesome.
And so they do get that like visual feedback as well as, you know, verbal feedback. And then, you know, oh, look at so-and-so earned their 5, you know, it's your day to choose that YouTube video, and it's worked.
Very cool. That's awesome.
I see a question here in the chat window from Anna. Do all your students participate in the take-home bins? Just curious.
So as much as I would like to think that they do, they probably don't. I would get quite a few back in the exact same way that I sent it home. And so just, it was more effective for me to say, hey, let's get out your bin. I sent this home to you this week. Let's do it together. That was what was most effective, I found.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, I'll slide through my wrap up, but we can definitely continue to take more questions as we're here. I know we've still got a couple minutes left, but I'll present my screen now just to share a couple more slides out. But again, hang around for more questions too. Okay, so just always a reminder, last week's office hours, or like this week's office hour, will eventually end up on our Region 3 AT YouTube channel, so you can find any of those there if you're looking for additional resources. The next 2 weeks, we are going to be having open office hours. And what that means is you bring the topics, and we can talk about anything that you want to talk about, whether that's talking more about setting 3 DCD type of settings, or more about Jamboard that we've talked about before, or coming to ask a question about a student that you've been working with, networking, anything that you want to talk about. So those are the next upcoming 2 sessions will be for that, for into December. Then we'll be into January, and there's some topics there that you can see that we'll be covering. So make sure that you keep an eye out for registration for those new things too. Then as you're walking away today, again, feel free to hang around to ask more questions, but always think through that set framework for each student. What environment are they in? What tasks are they being asked to do? And then what tools might support that? But just think about one thing. Sometimes it feels overwhelming when we try to walk away and revamp everything. So if there's one thing that you can walk away and say, oh, that's something I'd like to implement, that would be great. And thank you so much to Cassie for being here and sharing what's going on in her classroom and with her students. We greatly appreciate it. We know there were a lot of people looking for this information. And thank you so much to all of you for attending. You'll get a recording of this session sent to you on the YouTube link, and you can always reach out to me at that email address there. I'll stop recording now, but again, we'll feel free to hang around for more questions if you've got them. I see some things in the chat window there that I'll read out in just a second.